All right, everyone, we're going to kick off. Again, I'd like to welcome all of the attendees to the Hedge Fund Association webinar, Capitalizing on South Florida. Welcome. I am Mitch, the president of the Hedge Fund Association. The HFA is a global nonprofit industry trade and nonpartisan lobbying organization with a mission to advance transparency, development, and trust in alternative investments. Membership in the HFA includes hedge funds, private equity, venture capital, real estate, wealth management firms, institutional investors, family offices, and service providers. If you're not already an HFA member, please consider joining at hedgefundassoc.org. As a native Miamian, I'm honored to serve as your moderator for this program. South Florida continues to strengthen its position as an international center for investment firms, driven by our favorable business and tax environment, growing population of wealthy investors, and prominence as the epicenter of the Americas. I'd like to thank today's webinar sponsor, Reed Smith, for their support of this event and their efforts to grow and support our industry. And I'd also like to thank HFA's annual Thought Leader sponsors, UMB Fund Services, SS&C Intralinks, and Citron Cooperman. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Joe Mantilla with Reed Smith, who's going to make some brief remarks. Joe, take it away.
Thank you, Mitch. First of all, it's a pleasure and an honor to be with everyone today. And I'd also like to thank the community leaders that are on the panel representing the Miami-Dade Downtown Development Authority, also the School of Business from the University of Miami, and the Miami-Dade Beacon Council with the leadership team that are on our panel today, and all the attendees. It's for me as a lifelong Floridian, I'm ecstatic about the growth that's happening in South Florida, Florida overall, and I think that our state, our South Florida, is uniquely positioned to be able to take the momentum that we're seeing and be able to create jobs, create synergies, and create new opportunities. It's a win-win not only for the new funds and investors, but also for some of the talent that we're graduating from our universities to stay in our state rather than relocating. So again, it's a pleasure to be with you all. Thank you, Mitch, for hosting on behalf of the HFA and on behalf of Reed Smith, our global law firm in Miami. We appreciate everyone participating today.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. So I would like to just make some housekeeping remarks. So after our panel today, we're to open it up for questions. I'll be monitoring the question box in your GoToWebinar sidebar towards the bottom. This is for the attendees. You're going to see a little box that says questions. If you expand that, and during the course of the remarks by our panelists, you have a question, feel free to submit it there. We'll also circulate a recording of the webinar afterwards and include contact information so you can reach out directly to our kind panelists. So now it's my pleasure to introduce today's panel. With us today is Mike Finney, is the president and CEO of the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. Danet Linares is the executive vice president of Blanco Commercial Real Estate and a board member of the Miami Downtown Development Authority. Henrik Cronqvist is the vice dean of the University of Miami Herbert School of Business. And you've all met Joe Mantilla, the senior business advisor in the financial industry group at Reed Smith. So thank you to all of the panelists. Now let's get started. So Mike, first of all, this question is for you. Mike, I think the last time that I saw you, we were at a museum in downtown Miami before all of this broke out. I believe it was December, not this December, but not this past December, but December a year before. So it's great to see you, even if it's virtual. So thank you so much for joining us, Mike.
Absolutely.
So Mike, would you tell the audience a little bit, for those that are not familiar, about the Miami-Dade Beacon Council, what your mission is and what you do?
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Mitch, and thanks to Reed Smith for sponsoring this event. It's great to have these opportunities to be with such a fine panel. The Miami-Dade Beacon Council serves as the official economic development partner for Miami-Dade County. And so we really are that first point of contact for many businesses that are thinking about expanding into Miami or locating and relocating their business to any place within Miami-Dade County. We've been around for 35 years, so we've got a pretty good track record of doing this. It's a public-private partnership between Miami-Dade County and more than 200 private businesses who serve as our investors and members of the organization. The most important thing to know about Beacon Council is that we are a very high-quality consulting group who work with businesses to help them get a very soft landing here in Miami-Dade. And we're connected to virtually every aspect of the community. So whether you need access to academia, if you're looking for students or technology, if you're looking for commercial real estate space, obviously organizations like Danet and others, we work with all of them. If you're looking for access to incentives within government, relationships, the point is we are one of the most connected organizations in the community, and all of our consulting services are free and strictly confidential. So you never have to be concerned about that. And so I know I'm going to have a chance to talk a little bit more later about the scope of services we provide, and it's pretty comprehensive. Essentially, if you're a business and you need to understand how to get set up and settled in Miami-Dade County, we're an organization that can help make that happen.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Michael. And again, welcome. Danet, would you share some highlights about yourself and about Blanco Commercial Real Estate?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity of being here. Thank you, Mitch and Joe, for sponsoring this. And I have worked with the Beacon Council a lot, referring tenants, companies that are new to market that we've been seeing quite a bit these days. And they're doing an excellent job. And it is very confidential, so everyone respects and appreciates that confidentiality. I am Danet Linares. I am Executive Vice Chairman at Blanco Commercial Real Estate. I joined the firm when it was launched in 2009, and since then I have had the opportunity to not only represent top local, national, and international investors, but also some of South Florida's most notable companies in their search for their office space. Since 2009, our firm has closed nearly 9 million square feet of office lease transactions throughout South Florida, and over the past 3 years, we have achieved 32% market share of all closed deals in Miami-Dade County, consistently an average of about 1 million square feet of deals per year. And our agency leasing portfolio is also one of the largest in South Florida, with nearly 9 million square feet of top quality office space in the region. And then at my work at the DDA, I serve on the executive committee and play an active role in helping promote Miami, specifically the urban core, as the ideal business destination for companies, especially in the financial services sector. And I've actually gone to New York with Mike and, recruiting tenants and telling them all about what's going on in the downtown area. We work closely with other key business groups to establish strong incentives and programs to help attract companies like the Beacon Council from New York and other major metro areas across the U.S. And the DDA, we recently rolled out our Follow the Sun campaign. It's an incentive fund to help attract new to market tenants that will relocate or hire a minimum of 10 employees to the DDA district within a 3-year period. So eligible companies are financial and professional services, tech, and HQ operations, and the companies must pay a minimum average wage of at least 125% of the local average wage. And also there's a cap of $50,000 per year for a 3-year period for a maximum of $150,000 in award payments over the 3 years of eligibility.
That's wonderful. And it's great to see incentives from two sort of private-public partnerships in the Beacon Council and in the Miami DDA. I think the more that your groups, in partnership with government, in partnership with the private sector, are able to incentivize my people, the alternative investment industry, people always want a good deal. Incentives are helpful. And as a native, I've been here 51 years since birth. I didn't go far. I remember when downtown was a whole different thing, and now you can go to downtown, and if I want, I can, not that I'm going to do it, but they have yoga underneath the tri-rail. They've got movie nights. It's really a vibrant young community, and I'm excited that we're able to invite our neighbors to the north to come and see it and enjoy it with us. So thank you, Danet. Henrik, so it's good to see you, sir. I would like, if you wouldn't mind, to give us a little bit of an overview about yourself, including all the way back from your time in Sweden. I'd love to hear the whole story, or at least a compressed version. But why don't you tell us first a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your role as vice chair?
Excellent. It's so great to be here with everyone. Thank you so much, Mitch and Joe and my panelists and everyone that is on the call today. So yeah, I'm here to represent one of the important components that goes into the hedge fund industry. So you need a lot of different things in order to run successfully in this business. You need money, obviously. You need real estate, obviously, and you need talent. And I think we're one of the providers of talent here at our school. So I'm Vice Dean for Graduate Business Programs and Executive Education. And we have a number of different graduate programs that I oversee. And I will talk a little bit more later on in terms of the different skills that our students they have that may cater to, professionals in the hedge fund industry. Of course, we have a lot of young people here that pursue their MBA degree or their MS in analytics or data science or finance. So that's something that I'm overseeing here. And I think we used to be concerned about the amount of the talent that we had down here in South Florida. I've been here 5 years, so not as long as Mitch, you have been here, and many of my fellow panelists. But during this relatively short period of time, we're talking about only half a decade, I've seen a lot of changes with our school and with other schools as well, with respect to the talent that is being produced and educated here. So we have come a long way, and obviously I'm here to represent University of Miami Herbert Business School. However, I would like to do a shout out, and because I know there's many alumni from other schools that we have here as well. We're all moving up, guys, in terms of the rankings of the school. Listen to this, in the last couple of weeks, we had 2 rankings for our schools that came out, and you both know the 2 rankings very well. One was The Economist, well known, and the other one was Financial Times. So our school is consistently in the top 50 in Financial Times, and we are trying to move up. I think if we look back in a couple of years to where we were, we will have advanced a lot. And in The Economist, if you break down the rankings, okay, you look at the faculty quality. Miami Herbert Business School's faculty was ranked number 8 in terms of faculty quality. That's a testament also to the investment that we have made into faculty that are coming on board to our school. In fact, right now we have an advertisement out for a so-called cluster hire. We would like to hire 5 professors that are distinguished at other universities that are coming to Miami and building our school. And so we're investing in the talent on the faculty side in order to better prepare our students. So let me stop there for now, and hopefully we can come back to the type of talent that we're educating and training at our school.
Wonderful, Henrik. Thank you very much. I'm excited. And I'll tell you, obviously, the fuel that runs these firms, private equity, venture capital, hedge funds, wealth management, you mentioned sort of the quant type folks, the AI and machine learning people. Those are all traditionally in the mindset of people from the hedge fund industry. They're thinking, where are they going to get that talent? They're going to get it from the West Coast. They're going to get it from the Northeast. And it's good to see that the Southeast is represented and those programs exist. And I'm a Miami boy. I'm a Cane for life. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And Joe, you and I are the 2 Florida men on this panel. And it's, again, very wonderful to be teaming up with you again. I know that your firm has championed the growth of the financial sector, not just in South Florida, but really throughout the state of Florida. Could you provide some highlights about sort of the programs and incentive financial firms, the different incentives you're familiar with that financial firms should know about as it relates to all of Florida?
Yes, absolutely, Mitch. So, As you mentioned at the beginning of the intro, I'm in the financial industry group practice, but I work closely with our corporate colleagues at Reed Smith, and we're so lucky to have local economic development leaders like Mike Finney and the Beacon Council, and some of the others in South Florida, whether it's Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance or in Palm Beach, as well with Kelly Smallridge, and at the state level with Enterprise Florida. I mean, one of the things that I find that our clients are often surprised is that, you know, Miami is not the Miami of the early 2000s or the 90s. They're very surprised to learn how we've grown with respect to, you know, the cultural opportunities if they decide to move, our transportation infrastructure, what's happening with our higher education and in universities, and the workforce we're graduating. And you know, as a Florida lifelong Floridian and a grad from the University of Miami, where I got my MBA, I am always eager to tell our clients, you know, you really need to consider Florida as a smart move for business. In fact, I helped to set up with our managing partner, Constantine Carides, for our Florida office, a concierge, Reed Smith concierge client service to help them with all the process of the economic development agencies, as well as the government relation discussions that they may have, because they're busy running their funds or operating business. And we are hoping that we can help them every step of the way and make that a seamless process. And like I said at the beginning of my remarks, I'm just really grateful for the Beacon Council. They've already helped us with an operating company that moved down, and it was successful. And also in outlining the economic development incentives that they're eligible for based on the number of jobs created and their average salary that they're bringing to Miami-Dade. So.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Joe. So now I want to turn to Mike again. So Mike, obviously, I've been fortunate to have worked with some of your colleagues at the Beacon Council, sort of going over and welcoming some people that had inquired about Miami and that had some specific questions about where their kids should go to school and sort of what neighborhood they should live in and where their office should be. Could you elaborate a little bit more about how firms within the alternative investment industry can capitalize on a relationship with the Beacon Council?
Yeah, so in the kinds of just warm connectedness items that you just mentioned, Mitch, are certainly a part of what we do. It's a relatively small part because there are so many other organizations like yourself who engage on a personal level, but we do a lot of that. I'd start again with the comment I made earlier. We provide a very comprehensive level of free and confidential services to help businesses. I would just start with the basic research. I'm always surprised that companies are considering locating somewhere without knowing the basic demographics of the community. In other words, you know, who are their competitors? Who are they going to potentially partner with? Are there customers there? Is the talent pool there? And the list goes on and on in terms of just the basic information that companies need. So we provide that kind of customized research for companies that are coming here. Joe mentioned our ability to identify incentives. The net outlines some incentives that are available via the DDA. And so having access to that kind of information at our fingertips and understanding the ins and outs of the mechanics of all these programs is a part of what we share with the companies. Permitting, regulatory environment, that's always an issue, right? Being able to very seamlessly move your project through the governmental structure that exists to ensure that buildings are done right. And so we work through with our governmental partners in every single community throughout Miami-Dade, permitting and regulatory issues. Sometimes there's a need for financing, and we've got great financial partners in the community, obviously represented by your organization, Mitch, but traditional financing with banking institutions, et cetera, we have the connectedness to help there. When it comes to identifying talent and getting connected with the right talent, or real estate site selection, business cost information, access to opinion leaders, and the list goes on and on. The bottom line is Florida and Miami-Dade is a very business-friendly and tax-friendly environment to operate in, and that's the most important thing to understand. In fact, I like to put a simple anecdote out there. Florida is the 4th best state in the United States from a tax perspective. And, you know, I'm not proud of being 4th best at anything. I grew up very competitive and I want to be first. So let me put it another way. Number 1 is Wyoming. Number 2 is South Dakota. Number 3 is Alaska. Florida is number 4. So when you think about who we're competing against, Florida is number 1, right? Because we don't even compete. Those other 3 states don't ever compete with Miami for anything, right?
Right.
And so because we're competing with other major metros, like Atlanta and the Research Triangle in Charlotte, and so many other areas throughout the United States, Florida is actually the number 1 tax environment and business environment in the United States, unless you're thinking about going to Wyoming, South Dakota, or Alaska.
That's a great way to put it. I'm going to steal that from you, Mike, because I'll tell you, that is obviously not to knock those other states. It's fantastic if you, you know, want to be wearing a parka. But one thing that I know about Miami is, and shout out to the friends that are on this call that are even in Texas today, it's a little nippy over there. You know, we just worry about what air conditioned car we're going to get into our air conditioned houses, to go to our air conditioned offices. But aside from that, lots of great sun and a great environment for business. So thank you for that, Mike. Danet, you know, I want to talk a little bit about one of my favorite streets in this city, Brickell Avenue. And it's really that zone, which is in downtown Miami, is our financial district. For those of you that are listening or watching, it's sort of our midtown. So most of the financial firms within New York, you know, people think about Wall Street, which is down south in Manhattan, but Midtown is really where the hedge fund universe sort of congregates. But our Midtown is our downtown, and Brickell Avenue is the heart of that. And now we've got Blackstone there. They established operations north of the Miami River, north of the Central Business District. Do you think other finance firms that are moving here are going to potentially extend our financial district, perhaps further north? What are your thoughts on sort of the growth in the downtown and Brickell area, Danet?
Yeah, I definitely see that. Actually, if you really think about it, financial firms that are in the market already and have been coming into the market have been looking at our whole central business district. So it's Brickell Avenue as well as downtown. And so if you think about it, we have in our urban core, we've got Goldman Sachs, we have Morgan Stanley, we have Merrill Lynch. These are all north of the Miami River. UBS, Wells Fargo, Citibank. There are a bunch of clusters there. Obviously, the move by Blackstone will certainly help attract more companies in the finance and tech sectors. But also downtown continues investment in mass transit with Brightline and also with Tri-Rail coming into the station soon. It's downtown's commitment to the arts and culture and the growing young professional population with the various housing options, because that really helps drive the young professionals to come here. Not only that, but empty nesters as well to come into the downtown and the Brickell markets. And more companies are relocating here. The demand for top quality office product will remain evident and will drive up rents. One interesting fact that over the past year, financial services companies drove deal activity in Miami and experienced the least change in total unemployment. Most of the financial services deals took place in the urban core as well. And additionally, more than 30% of the new to market companies touring Miami office space are within the financial services sector, with more than 70% of them coming from New York. This is a trend we will expect to continue, we'll expect to continue to strengthen over the course of the year. And we do expect that over time, the financial district, also, downtown and Brickell will expand as new office supply and top tier products is absorbed. The only new building under construction right now is 830 Brickell. It's a 450,000 square foot office building that's set to deliver first quarter of 22. But there are more on the drawing board, several new options in downtown as well as Brickell. So it's exciting for our community.
And, you know, one of the things that I've noticed is Brickell is obviously a great place to have an office, have a second headquarters, but it's a great place to live too. So some of those properties that likely you're involved in, they have they have great condos, great apartments, great places for the staff that you're trying to attract the talent that might be used to New York style living. We have those types of high rises with all the amenities as well. Could you make some comments about that, Danet?
So we, that's a really good point. In our last downturn, there were like 25,000, like 2008, 2009. There were 3 new office buildings being delivered in the Brickell and the downtown area. That was an increase of 33% of Class A product, and there were about 25,000 square feet. 25,000 new condo units that were about to come online or had come online. So everyone was predicting, you know, the sky is falling, this is terrible, it's going to take 10 years for this to be absorbed. And you know what? In 2 years, one of those office buildings was over 90% leased, and almost all of those apartments were rented or sold. And so that just shows you the demand in our urban core as well as in Miami. So that was really a success story. And then all of a sudden the crane started to pop up again.
I think that's wonderful, and that just is a testament to how downtown has radically changed in 20 years. You know, you would have never thought this is a place I would live, and now it is. And I think that
and we competed, you know, we compete with Austin because it's like, oh, where are we going to have, you know, tax incentives and a place where people can walk to work, you know, eat, just, you know, the whole live, work, play. And we have it in spades. We have amazing hotels, great restaurants, and now of course the arts and culture that we have here as well. So we really, and we have our beautiful bay. So and the public transportation that we now have. So it's really, we've been able to beat out a lot of cities for new to market companies. When we were first leasing out 1450 Brickell, 33% of the tenants that filled up that 600,000 square foot building were new to market.
Wow. And I'll tell you, most of the people that I interact with that are Northerners, their vision of Miami is that 10 blocks of Ocean Drive. That's their visual. They probably watch Miami Vice reruns and they have that visual that that's Miami. That exists. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful place to, you know, to enjoy and, you know, go out and have a nice dinner or, you know, go to a nightclub. But Miami's so much bigger than that, as Michael knows. You know, Miami-Dade County is huge, and Brickell Avenue, I would guess, what would you guys say as fellow Miamians? You're about no more than 15 minutes from South Beach from Brickell, right?
Right.
No more than that. So you can do both, everyone who's listening to this. You know, you can live on Brickell, work on Brickell, but if you want to entertain a client, you want to, you know, go and enjoy the South Beach lifestyle and nightlife, you can do that in a short drive or Uber.
But I have to say, there's a lot of great entertainment options in Brickell and downtown, so you don't have to go to the beach anymore. Not to mention that Wynwood is so close by as well.
Oh yes, everyone loves Wynwood. That's
and Coconut Grove is experiencing a resurgence. It's incredible what's happening in Coconut Grove.
It's all new. They just finished the upgrades of sort of the Cocoa Walk area and everything in the pandemic. So
we're leasing that project, and the project is 90% leased. And we signed several big deals during the pandemic. So fortunately, it didn't slow us down here.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Danet. So Henrik, I want to go back to you. So obviously, I get to have a fancy title. I'm the global president of the Hedge Fund Association. That means I've spent a lot of time on planes. I've gotten to visit our members in our different chapters around the world. We've had events, whether, you know, they're seminars or symposiums or breakfast briefings or conferences. And I always talk to them about Miami. I always, you know, people always ask you, you know, in that small talk conversation when you're just getting to know someone in business, you know, where's your office? Where are you based? And people are often surprised that someone that can be the president of the Hedge Fund Association would be a Miamian. And one of the things that I've talked about with them, especially with the larger funds and fund managers that are thinking about office space, is sort of, will there be the talent there? If I were to hang out a shingle on Brickell Avenue, and some of my staff may not want to relocate, even though I might want to relocate and I might, you know, be eyeing that private school for my kids and that wonderful house in Coral Gables where I might live. But I'm worried about scaling my business. I'm worried about finding the right employees. What can you say about sort of the UM and the academic programs that are available in South Florida? Are you training the next generation of fund managers? Could you elaborate a little bit about that, Henrik?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very relevant question. When people think about Miami, they don't think about one of the best ranked business analytics programs in the world, which we have. They think about the palm trees, they think about the beaches, they think about all of that. So we need to switch and also think about all the good stuff that we have going on. And I think in our programs, basically what we have to offer to the community in terms of education, I think I would summarize it as 3 different things. One is sort of the, you know, the hard skills, you know, basically to make our students and those that go into our programs technically proficient. That's sort of one part of it. But, you know, as everyone knows on this call that is in business, that's not the only thing that is required in the world, even if you're in the hedge fund industry as a quant type. You also need the soft skills. You need to understand, you know, the real world outside of academia. And so I'll talk a little bit about what we do in that domain as well. And then the third component where I think University of Miami and where we can offer a lot more than many other schools is on diversity, okay? We have a very diverse set of different students that come in to our programs, both with respect to all different kind of dimensions of diversity that you can think about. And, you know, going back to sort of the first point, that's what you expect, I think, if you hire a student from our school. You know, you expect them to have a rigor with respect to what they have learned in school, you know, but it's not only the traditional things that we have, that we instill in our students, you know, theory and portfolio management and that. You know, now we train our students on programming. You know, Python, R, those languages that have become very common and well recognized for those that are more on the quantitative side. You know, we have also established partnerships with the CFA Association. So we actually have a training program for those that want to become a certified financial analyst, and we also, you know, try to train our students on various different databases that some of the companies that are in the industry that they're using day in and day out, so that they get that training already when they're in the school, so that they will be ready and not just know about the world from a purely academic perspective, but that they will also have been out there in the real world. And I would encourage everyone that is on the call that might be looking for talent, get in touch with us. We have a career advancement unit within my shop. That is, all we do in that unit is that we try to find good matches between companies and our students, okay? And if you look at the graduate programs that we have, it varies a little bit from one year to another, but we have anything from about 600 to 900 total graduate students. MBAs, for example, Joe is one of our graduates, and all the other programs that we have as well. So we have a pretty decent talent pool to choose from. And if you don't know enough about our students and what they can do, we can facilitate a discussion between our career advancement staff and your company to try to figure out what is it that you're looking for in terms of talent. And, you know, there's also lighter type of engagement with us if you want to get a sense for what is it that University of Miami's students, they actually know. You know, 2 things that come to my mind is internships. Okay, so we have a lot of students that are looking for internships, obviously paid, they would prefer, but, you know, sometimes it's that line in the resume that will make it. So some of you guys, if you have an internship that you can offer, get in touch with us and we can find you the right type of people in our student body. Second thing, there's a trend among all business schools to doing a lot more projects with their students, with real companies. So we have some teams of students that work collaboratively with a professor as the leader and someone within an organization, within a hedge fund or within another company to address and apply the skills that they have learned in business school to those projects that are relevant for the company. And that's something that it's sort of a trend in that direction. That's another way that if someone on this call has a project in mind that they feel like would be suitable for some of our students under supervision to take a look at, that would be another opportunity to sort of engage with us and with our students. So I think the bottom line is that there's a lot more talent available here than ever before. At our school and at other schools as well. So, the two programs that are perhaps from sort of an analytics and finance perspective that is most relevant perhaps is we have an MS, a Master of Finance program. And we also have a Master of Science in Business Analytics program. And as I said before, not only do we provide those quantitative and hard skills, it's very important for us that our students, they also have those soft skills and that, they become leaders. They should not be only the programmer on the team, well, maybe for a couple of years to start out, but that they have the potential then to lead teams related to programming and asset management.
That's wonderful, Henrik. And it sounds like so far on this call, we've got Joe who could help you form and structure your business and figure out how to get the incentives throughout Florida. We've got Danet who will get you the wonderful office space that you need to power your talent. Mike, who is your gateway to all things Miami-Dade, including on a confidential basis, helping you navigate our government. And Henrik, who's going to get you the talent for your trading floor. So thank you all so far. This is fantastic. And I look forward to connecting the attendees of this call and HFA members with each of you in your organizations, because the more that we can open the door to the types of organizations that your students and we want living in South Florida, we want, contributing to our community and preserving it, the better. And obviously, I'm a bit enamored with the financial folks, but I'm okay with the crypto ones too. We're happy to take them on as well. All right, fantastic. So Joe, one of the things I'd love for you to elaborate on, I understand that Reed Smith operates something called a concierge, where you assist people, and I don't think you're making dinner reservations. So could you elaborate a little bit about your concierge service and sort of how Reed Smith operates that and sort of what some of the things that you guys do for your clients?
Absolutely. And we love to take our clients to a good dinner as well, as Mike has joined us before at a good dinner in New York when we were recruiting one of our clients to move to Miami, and we succeeded. So no, to that end, we noticed that the market demanded client service precisely like this Reed Smith concierge service. Yes, we have the economic development agencies throughout Florida. There's 67 counties. Then there's the state economic development agency. So what we did at Reed Smith, we said, you know what, let's tailor this client service offering, and let's work with existing clients, but also possibly funds that might be on this virtual webinar, and make this efficient for them, because they're busy running their private equity and hedge funds and their alternative investment firms doing their day job. And if they're interested in considering the move to Miami or anywhere else in Florida, let's work with them and say, we will help you with the economic development agencies based on the target county you're looking at. Also, we'll help you with the government relations portion of that from the beginning to end, so that they feel comfortable throughout the whole process. And then that may lead to a multi-year, multi-million-dollar economic development incentive package, which is meaningful for them. And we always tell them, let's talk before you sign a lease, or you may have missed your opportunity because you've already signed a lease. The other thing we do is we also help based on our relationships with other C-suite alternative investment fund or operating companies in Florida to connect them to other C-suite peers so that they can help navigate the business leadership community in Florida. That's another service we offer. And then also what we found is with many of the private equity funds that we're helping, in some respects, they are either don't know or they have a portfolio company that may need legislative help in Tallahassee or even at the local level. And they may need that to help grow that portfolio company that they've invested in. And we help them with those issues, whether it's legislative, regulatory, or anything for procurement, if you will. And so we offer that. We make that very clear. We want to get them involved with the business leadership community in Florida, and we want to help them every step of the way. And I think it's key to mention also that, you know, it's not just what's already here in Florida, and you know this well, Mitch. Florida is in Miami in particular, is known as the gateway to Latin America, and it has a growing population of wealthy investors from Latin America or family investment offices, and they want to park their money in key opportunities. So we love to make those introductions. You know, we do represent some of those individuals, and so, you know, Florida has already succeeded in Miami thanks to the Beacon Council. You know, look at I-Squared Capital, a global infrastructure firm that's made its move. Blackstone with its growing operations in Miami. And in the latest news is the Softbank Miami Fund, where they're helping with their $100 million fund, which they announced, Marcelo Clau with City of Miami Mayor Francis Suarez. And I think that's going to lead to other funds, other investment groups following, because they see that it's not just the trade associations or the economic development agencies. To their credit, we have, fortunately in Florida, we have local leaders like Miami-Dade, Miami City Mayor Francis Suarez, who's at the forefront. We have our governor, Ron DeSantis. They're all helping to create a business, tax-friendly, regulatory-friendly environment, so we're attractive to businesses.
Fantastic.
You also have a great. We're also very, very lucky to have a wonderful, amazing county mayor, Daniela
Yes.
Rubincava.
Absolutely.
And Mike is working very closely with her, as well as Mayor Francis Suarez, who all he did was say, "How can I help?" And it's been like an outpour. So it's been tremendous for all of us.
Absolutely.
That's a perfect entree, Danet, to what I was going to say next. So Mayor Daniela is amazing, and I have to tell you, as a South Floridian, of all of the things, I love Mayor Suarez, and I'm open to cafecito any day. But Daniela is telling us really useful information at the county level about coronavirus. I'm seeing her really using her social media in a way in which I think her constituents, my neighbors, my older neighbors, are really appreciative of sort of, how to register for the vaccine and sort of all of that day-to-day stuff. And Mike, this question's for you, because this is another weird onion that we can unwrap as locals, but people that we're importing don't understand about Miami. We have at least 3 mayors that I'm aware of. So we've got Miami Beach, we've got Miami-Dade County, and we've got the city of Miami. Obviously, the one, Mayor Francis Suarez has obviously, with one tweet, really caused a snowball effect, which I think we're all benefiting from. And I think one of the reasons we wanted to do this webinar. But what can you tell us sort of about Miami-Dade in terms of not the mayors, we can dissect that. People can look at Wikipedia for that. They just need to know that all of our government officials, regardless of what party they represent, from the governor on down to, you know, the people that are on the city councils, are here to elevate and are business friendly. So I think that applies to the financial services sector. It applies to all business. But Mike, I'm asking you this as a Miami boy to a fellow Miami boy. What other neighborhoods do you think that people should be aware of? I know Danet we were talking a little bit about Coconut Grove. Aside from the financial district, could you give us a snapshot of some of the other neighborhoods that Miami is known for?
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. It's really important to highlight the entire county. It was great that Danet mentioned Mayor Levine Cava. I likewise would have definitely inserted Miami-Dade County at the top of this pyramid, if you will. That's Miami-Dade County. It is the big organization with resources that can actually make a lot of really good things happen, right? So buzz is good, and it's certainly bringing a lot of attention. But now that it's time to put together a deal, the county is going to be essential to making most of those deals happen. And so let's make sure that we understand that. The other point, you said there's 3 mayors. Mitch, there's 34.
Oh.
You forgot
Coral Gables. So there's 34 cities within Miami-Dade. And then there are significant areas that are just simply unincorporated Miami-Dade County that also are interested in supporting businesses. So let me try and rattle off a few, and I'll probably get into a little bit of trouble because I'm going to miss someone. But it's blame it on my heart, not my head. I'm really trying, or blame it on my head, not my heart. I'm really trying to be as straightforward as possible. Danet has referenced the Miami DDA, so I won't spend any time on that. Lots of going on there. But there's Miami Beach, especially the northern part of Miami Beach. A lot of really good, interesting stuff going on right now. Starwood, for example, another one of the projects that came here from New York, is building out their facility on Miami Beach. So great opportunities there. Hialeah, one of the most robust small business communities that we have in Miami-Dade. Great opportunities, lots of residential properties that are more affordable, a great location. Homestead, if I jump down to the south, one of the fastest growing communities that we have in Miami-Dade, especially when it comes to high quality residential, which has also attracted the companies where they can be in reasonably close proximity to their employees. Doral, I was over in Doral last week meeting with Mr. Codina and his team, just looking at this incredible development that they have going on roughly 250 acres. A lot of business opportunities, some great financial services opportunities as well. Of course, someone referenced Coral Gables. A lot going on in Coral Gables. It has been that second spot in most cases after the Miami DDA that is hosting a lot of very high caliber businesses. North Miami just landed a major project with the shoe company. I'm forgetting the name of it. But recently they landed Payless Shoe Company. Their headquarters is going into North Miami. There's Miami Gardens, another area with tremendous growth potential and available land. There's Aventura, Cutler Bay, North Miami, Miami Lakes, South Miami, Opelika, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, and I can go on. They all represent significant opportunities for businesses to locate, especially when it comes to finding the right kind of housing opportunities that's going to work for your workforce. And if you want to be in reasonably close proximity, we can help navigate which location might make the most sense for you. And I can assure you the various mayors that we have from around the county are highly motivated to entertain opportunities for businesses to locate in their community.
That's fantastic. And I'm sorry to all of the mayors that I failed to recognize you exist. I'm sure I've driven through your districts, but I'll tell you, this is a fascinating thing about Miami. The neighborhoods all have a unique character. I grew up in Coral Gables. And then I moved at a very young age off of Old Cutler Road. And, I haven't gone too far, but I'll tell you, I'm sorry to all of those other neighborhoods because they all have a charm about them, and they all themselves have fantastic environments for living and working. There are plenty of office buildings. You go out by Doral, it's not just great golf. You've got offices and structure and homes that I think people should consider as a place. So that's phenomenal. So I want to turn back to Danet. Danet, obviously, given the pandemic, things have probably changed for you in the commercial real estate front, sort of strategically, maybe with what your clients are asking about. I think there's going to be a lot of businesses that have evolved to have sort of some of their staff in an office and some working remotely, and some of those trends might be here to stay. Can you share with us some of the activities and other trends that you might be seeing from where you sit?
Yeah, sure. So 2020 has, without a doubt, been an unprecedented year for many reasons, and the office sector has been at the forefront of some of those changes. The new work from home and the norms of the era of Zoom and virtual learning. Look what we're doing right now. Otherwise, we would be in, some hotel conference room or something like that, right? You really have forced companies to reinvent themselves and think more strategically about their office space. But over the course of the past year, we have seen some companies close operations, specifically within sectors that have been the most impacted, like hospitality and retail. But on the other hand, companies have been bullish on the Miami office market. We are tracking, this is really interesting. We've seen a tremendous uptick in activity across our listings, and we are tracking currently 1.3 million square feet of new to market deals in the 4 major submarkets. That's tremendous. That is truly an unprecedented number, and that number actually keeps going up. I think that 1.3 million was from last month. And out of that, 54% of that activity is in the urban core in the DDA district, and we're seeing companies in the technology, finance, legal, and professional services sectors. Several of the top architectural firms and notable sources are showing that employees are actually eager to get back to work. So companies are really looking at, what can they do and what's important to them to make sure that their employees are safe and comfortable and want to return to work. So a lot of them are looking for, companies are looking for buildings that with ample outdoor spaces, top air filtration systems, touchless access, fitness solutions that are outdoor. A lot of the buildings and the newer buildings have gyms, but they're also looking for outdoor amenities so that they can host yoga and boot camps. Really, the idea is the quality of life experience is becoming more and more important in the workplace, and to make their employees comfortable, to come back to work and to be productive. Now, people have been productive through Zoom and working from home, but really, there's nothing like being together. There's no exchange for that. So that's what we've been seeing in the office sector.
Sure. And so it sounds like maybe there will be a combination of both going forward, post-pandemic.
Yeah.
And stress on those things, those amenities that you just described.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like the things that you might get in Silicon Valley, right? The types of things that you want for your employees to be able to really come into the work. I'm a big, and I'll mention this with Henrik in a minute, but I'm a big fan of Bloomberg. Bloomberg has been a longtime HFA member. Obviously, many of our members treat their Bloomberg terminals like Microsoft Office for everyone else. They need their Bloomberg to do their day jobs. And the work environment that Bloomberg has created in their offices, for example, in New York City, it's a phenomenal environment for the employees that work there, whether they're selling terminals or they're the media side. And we're starting to see that here. And I think that is a really good development for morale for your employees, right? For having a safe place to work and maybe getting your steps in.
And one of the things that I forgot to mention is that based on CDC requirements of social distancing, that there's a new code now that requires employees to have one person per 200 square feet. It used to be one person per 100 square feet, so that's recently changed because of this. And so where people are saying, companies are shutting the offices, in some cases they are, in some cases they aren't, because now they have to spread out their employees more. And the other thing that we're seeing, because we're seeing so many new to market tenants, is if there is a company that's downsizing, there's a new company coming in and taking over what they've just given up. And you also see companies that are doing alternating working, coming in, Mondays and Wednesdays or Thursdays and Fridays, and figuring it out that way.
That's wonderful. And I think that the evolution of work, many of the things that we've all seen as a result of the pandemic were trends, I think, that were already underway. I think they've accelerated at a point that we are all, the trend of coming to South Florida, for example, the trend of, remote workforces, the ability to do all of that. Obviously, HFA will be doing other webinars in the future to break apart things like cybersecurity, which are now, a different concern when your employees are everywhere. But Miami I'm definitely bullish. So Henrik, back to you, Professor. I don't want you to get too comfortable back there in your chair. I just want you to know I used to come in and address students, so I'm going to notice if you slouch, sir. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, the Hedge Fund Association, we have made some strides within academia before. We've done some events for students, mainly at New York area universities, where we've come in. And there was a couple of schools that I was able to visit and do some fund managers to address those students. And one of the ones that impressed me was a program at Seton Hall, where they had a full-on trading room for their students. They had everybody outfitted with Bloomberg terminals and all of the software and all of the tools. And those students who were all seeking out, good jobs in finance upon graduation, were essentially running an in-house hedge fund within the school. Is that something or your school would consider doing? Would you guys ever explore something like that, where it would be more, practice for your day job? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, Mitch. I think that is that's critical. Okay, and we love Bloomberg at our school. So in fact, for all of our MS in finance students, we require them to become Bloomberg certified as part of the boot camp that they go to when they come into our program. We've also invested in a number of Bloomberg terminals. Bloomberg has this great program that means that if you're a school or university, you get a pretty deep discount on the terminals, because they are set up obviously for people on this call, and Goldman Sachs, they have a different budget than we have as an academic institution. But of course, that helps out, because then we can train our students to become certified, and they also understand how to use that equipment, and when they get out there in the marketplace. And of course, I sound like a Bloomberg salesperson, which I am not. For disclosure, I'm not being paid to say this, but from their perspective, it makes a lot of sense, because then people come out on the trading floor, and that's the terminal that they want to use. Related to that as well, Mitch, is that we, as I mentioned before, we do want to train our students not only on Bloomberg, but we have a number of other databases as well. And I have a long list of what we train our students on. It may be slightly boring for some of you guys to hear the long list, but of course we have FactSet and TradeWeb and Market Access and BlackRock's Aladdin and Morningstar. There's a lot of different databases. My point is that practice is working its way into our curriculum. You have to, as a business school, or you will not be competitive with your students. And as we have been rising in the ranks, that's good, but it also means that our students also now seriously start to compete with students from other top schools. Okay, our business analytics program is ranked in one ranking that is very important in China. We're ranked number 8, okay, tied with Duke. And Duke has a longer history of being a top institution than what we had. And so that means that we need to put in place the same type of tools as those other competing schools. When it comes to some of those more practitioner type activities that we engage in with our students, I would mention a couple of other things as well. We have capstone projects, as I mentioned before, with different companies, with different financial institutions. And another thing that is, we have a student managed investment fund that is run by 2 of our professors. They meet weekly with the students, and the students then make a pitch to their fellow peers, and then there is a vote. Should they include this stock or this particular financial instrument into the portfolio, yes or no? And they actually have real money that is involved in the management. So an alum had donated some money. So they're actually managing this fund, you know. And I started my career back in the day at the Ohio State University, and they're actually a few steps ahead of us, but we might be getting there. They actually carved out a portion of their endowment that was managed by the Student Investment Fund there, under guidance both by professors and practitioners. I think that's another good example of what we do sort of in the domain of practice, bringing practice into the classroom. You know, and I think another program that we launched a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I would say, we have an executive in residence program. So we're blessed in our area not having only people and hedge funds and tech companies that are moving here, but a lot of people that are retiring or semi-retiring because they might have done really well in the industry, they are coming to settle down here. So what we figured is that we can create this program where they engage with us and with the students as mentors, as part-time teachers. And so some of the examples of people that we currently have in this executive in residence program is from Goldman Sachs. The former head of Goldman Sachs Brazil, Paulo Lene, is one of our executive in residence. We have a former McKinsey partner, Alex Niemeyer, who is also engaging with us in this program. And so I think that it's so important for our students that we just don't give them the theory but that we also, you know, bring practice into the classroom. I happen to teach a class on venture capital and private equity myself, and in pretty much every class that I have towards the end, for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, we have a guest speaker that comes in and talk about the practice of what we have discussed in the class. So it's something that is very important. Your idea, Mitch, about taking the Bloomberg terminals that we have, and now we have the Bloomberg Anywhere arrangement because we're obviously spread out, you know, to set up the structure that you talk about so we can do a mock trading room and platform that the students can compete. I mean, that's a fantastic idea. So I know that we will have a call coming up pretty soon with Bloomberg people, thanks to your introduction, to discuss with them. Can we do that? I mean, that would be, I think, great for our students.
I think it's great for the industry for people to not just leave with the book learning, right, and the training, but to leave with some real world examples of what their jobs will be like when they graduate. And so they're better prepared. You know, I think we all at one point in our careers might have been mentored or had an internship. I think the value of that is just incredible. And I think that for Miami to continue to thrive, some of our talent, you know, you made a comment earlier, Henrik, about diversity. I'm very attracted to Miami and stayed here because of diversity. Mm-hmm. My mother's from Bogota, Colombia. My dad's from Michigan. They met in Miami. I am Miami. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I've noticed growing up here over 51 years is that we do have an actual melting pot. It's not just Spanish. We have people here from Europe, from Asia, from all over the world that find a way to find that rhythm together. And I think that UM is a good testament. Everything our universities, our three main universities, are doing to sort of bring those students here. Well, they're coming here not just for football, you know, anymore. Now they're coming here for the academics. They're coming here to be trained to become the next, you know, Ray Dalio of Bridgewater. And I think that we have the tools in place, whether it's the talent, the infrastructure, and the ideas you, myself and your team are going to be exploring with having those real world tools, so that when Danet gets them to get their office space and Michael gets them the incentives to set up shop in downtown Brickell, they will have the staff to fill out that floor. And I think we can get there as a team together by bringing some of these ideas to the next step. And, you know, I too am not selling commercial time for Bloomberg, but it kind of is like the Microsoft Office. But all of those other tools you mentioned and other tools that we're not aware of are going to be the things that my next boss is going to use. Probably a graduate from your school. You know, I'm looking to be hired by them when they're ready, because I do think the next generation is going to have some fantastic things on the horizon. So one of the things I wanted to turn to with this discussion is for Joe. Joe, I hope you're not sleeping on the job. You know, I want to rattle your cage for a minute. So obviously South Florida, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier, many of the people that come to visit me, whether they're coming here considering moving or, coming here for business reasons, or in January for the big conferences that we tend to have in Hedge Fund Week in January, or during Art Basel in December, they're coming here to find investors. They're coming here to meet our family office population, which existed pre-corona, which is growing. They're coming here to meet ultra high net worth investors, because obviously if I'm an early stage private equity firm or hedge fund firm, I'm going to be raising money typically from friends, family, my own money, and typically I would go to a family office. What can you tell us about that population in South Florida, about sort of the wealthy and sort of our demographics here, Joe?
Well, first of all, I would say that whenever we have clients that stay for 2-3 days and we go to an event that's being hosted, in particular off Brickell, they're amazed about, with respect to the caliber of individuals that they're meeting at these professional cocktail receptions. In some cases, our good friend Alona Vega at the Miami Downtown Development Authority has also done a great job of keeping our partners at Reed Smith aware. And so we will attend some of the ones that she's sharing with us, but also with respect to some of the events that you're also putting together, Mitch, on behalf of the HFA. So kudos to you. And so they're amazed not only about with respect to the caliber of investors at all levels that they may meet, but also at the diversity and how long some of these investors and investment firms, kind of volunteer to them that they've been in Miami. And so it's almost underscoring what we tell some of our clients. It's not the Miami of the 1990s or the 80s. You got to come and see it and touch it and feel it. And so Miami's one of the fastest economies, or Florida in general. You may know this, Mitch, but they have Florida's economy is a $930 billion economy. It's the 4th largest economy in the U.S., 17th largest economy, around the globe. Close to $900,000 migrates to Florida every hour. So this is all data that's been collected by the Florida Chamber of Commerce, and Florida's investing $9.5 billion in research. So that's a major benefit for our research that's happening in our universities, and also some of the companies that are spun off from that. So I think that for those that are thinking about Miami, they need to come down and obviously spend a little time. If they can't come in person, we can at least help schedule some Zoom intros. But the people on the panel here, we have to look no further. The leaders on this call truly are the leaders, and I'm so grateful for the Downtown Development Authority, UM, and also goes without saying, Mike Finney and the Beacon Council, because I talk to other colleagues and they're like, I haven't even met my economic development person in our state, in our city, where we have offices in other states. And so, we're just so lucky because we obviously have a beautiful state, a beautiful city, and we're growing in the right direction. We have the great universities, but we got the leaders like everyone on this call that is pushing in the right direction to properly educate and inform people that want to consider Florida, in particular Miami, as their new home to relocate.
Phenomenal. And I got a question in through GoToWebinar that I'm hoping, Joe, you can address as well. So what about the environment in Palm Beach? One of the things, it's where my grandparents were. I used to go see them all the time in Palm Beach Gardens, and I would drive up there. but it's not just retirees anymore. Could you make some
That's right.
comments about business environment in Palm Beach?
Absolutely. Well, if you recall from some of my early remarks on the webinar, I really wanted to send kudos to the Palm Beach Development Authority and you know, the leadership there by Kelly Smallridge. You know, Palm Beach is another attractive location for investment firms to either relocate and or to move part of their operation. And Kelly's a leader in the economic development world in Florida. And Palm Beach is attractive on its own, but she understands how to dovetail the interest in Palm Beach with what Palm Beach has to offer. So kudos to her and her team. And if I may, I'll say the same thing for what's happening with Bob Swindell and the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. And I think that many of us know of how the Miami-Dade and Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance and Palm Beach's Economic Development Agency, you know, how they collaborate. It's you know, and it's due to the leadership that of all three counties and organizations that they collaborate so well.
And all 700 mayors, apparently. Right, Mike?
Yeah, no, I was, as I was listening to Joe, I was just thinking, we have such a deep collaboration across the three counties. We feel like we're competing against the rest of the world, not against each other. And just think about that. If every business that is a part of this webinar and beyond decided to locate in South Florida, all three communities are going to do exceptionally well in attracting their fair share. So we work in partnership with them. We meet on a regular, there's not a month that goes by that we don't have either a virtual meeting now, given that COVID exists, or something else. In fact, on the 26th of this month, the officers of our three organizations, along with our executive teams, will be having a joint meeting. It's something we started 3 years ago, and it's a way of us really just thinking strategic about South Florida and how do we continue to position this region as the most desirable place for a business versus the rest of the United States and the world. And so instead of us competing against Atlanta or Raleigh or some of these other places, South Florida is a much more robust package when it comes to talent, technology, innovation, and just the capacity to absorb businesses. So it's a very friendly relationship.
I agree. Danet, not to put you on the spot, but what about the environment office-wise in the Palm Beach area and even in Fort Lauderdale? Can you make some remarks about that? What do we have space?
So I am not personally tracking that market as closely, Palm Beach, although I have heard that the market has been incredibly hot. There are a lot of the financial firms that are moving, that are coming over here, are looking at going into Palm Beach. West Palm Beach Related is looking at, they've acquired one office building, they're looking at acquiring 2 other office buildings, so they're going to dominate that market. And so it's really incredible. We're seeing a lot of activity between Miami and Palm Beach, but we're also starting to see an uptick in activity in Fort Lauderdale and downtown Fort Lauderdale. We leased a brand new office building. It's 385,000 square feet on Las Olas. And we've recently gotten calls, 2 separate companies that are looking at 100,000 square feet. So with the building is currently 42% leased. It opened in November, received its temporary certificate of occupancy, so it's open for business. We have one tenant already there, Ackerman, but the amount of demand in the whole South Florida region is incredible. But just to, I wanted to share a little stat about, you know, the financial market and just the hedge funds. So the DDA started its financial work and trying to attract tenants, companies from all over the country, especially the Northeast, down here in 2014. And, you know, we're seeing headlines surrounded by the relocation of David Tepper and Eddie Lampert. And so the strategy really was to go to the Northeast, and we've had several Manhattan rooftop networkers. But about 2 years ago, we acquired some data to get a clearer picture of the financial cluster that we have compared to other Florida communities. So this will kind of answer your question that you asked. And so we compared 67 counties in Florida, in the state of Florida, and we found that Miami-Dade County had the largest concentration of SEC registered investment advisory firms in Florida, representing 31% of Florida's market. And in this sector, Miami-Dade experienced a growth of 88% between 2014 and 2020. And then Palm Beach also had the second highest concentration of SEC RIAs in Florida with 18% and experienced a 40% growth between 2014 and 20. Obviously, Miami experienced an 88% growth, so they have the highest, but still Palm Beach is doing very well. And then we looked and we compared the 34 cities in Miami-Dade County, and 73% of those SEC RIAs are in the city of Miami, and 52% are actually in the DDA district, and then 46%, drilling down further, are in Brickell. And then family offices, although not represented, they're not represented on the list because they are not registered with the SEC, but they're also very important companies in the seed stages. And there's the Family Office Club, a professional organization that specializes in this niche, believes that there are well over $125 billion in capital in the Miami area alone. So that's a little fun fact for everyone watching here.
Those are great stats to know, and I'll tell you that just reinforces the idea that obviously we are dispersed across 3 counties, but we have picked our financial district. Our financial district, by osmosis, however it happened, the concentration of RIAs, again, as you pointed out, that's just covering one segment, right, of the financial community. We've got all of the other people that are coming in that are tech related or private equity or venture capital that wouldn't necessarily be registered in the same way or appear in that data. So it's exciting. It's exciting for all of South Florida. So I want to ask all of you, and maybe we'll start with Henrik. Because Henrik, you are not a native Miamian. I think you said you've been here 5 years. So I'm wondering, over the course of your conversations, and again, Danet, I'll turn to you and Joe and Mike as well. But sometimes you hear people, having some concerns or having some misperceptions about South Florida. What are some of the misperceptions, maybe, Henrik, that you have heard, and sort of how would you address them? Has anyone ever come to you and said, "Oh, Miami, they're all, not wearing socks"? What are your thoughts?
That is indeed one concern with the socks. I agree with that. No, I think, representing University of Miami on the call, I think, as we concluded before, right, it's like when people, what is top of the mind when people think about some of the misperception up north might be that, it's all about the palm trees and it's all about football. It is, right? It is about that, but it's also about academic rigor. I mean, I have a perspective here of 5 years at this particular school, right? But, some of my colleagues that have spent their entire career at University of Miami's business school, that may have a 35 or 40 year perspective. I mean, it's a completely different place now, and it's more competitive, and so I think that's the rigor that we have, and the sort of the talent that we produce now, and the schools that we compete with. That's very different than it used to be. And I mean, I represent our graduate programs, MBA programs, and executive MBA programs and specialized master's programs. But we also have an undergraduate program, of course, right? And you can see many of our top students in the undergraduate program. They compete with students from the best business schools, whether that is Wharton or that is University of Virginia, for jobs, both locally here, and if they don't remain here, that they go to Wall Street. They compete with the best people from the best schools. So I think to get that perception a bit adjusted, that would be very helpful, I think. And I think calls like this, outreach efforts that everyone on this call is doing, you know, Mike's work, that's tremendously important, I think, it takes a while. I mean, this was in the making for a while to get to where we are now, and a lot of effort went into this. I mean, there's a lot of talk now in the last couple of months, but let's not forget that we didn't get there overnight. There was a lot of people that for a lot of years have worked hard and to sort of adjust the perception of Miami as an emerging hub for innovation and technology, education, and finance.
Wonderful. So, Mike, ¿tú hablas español?
Sí, muy poquito.
Un poquito. So is that a misperception that you think people have about Miami, about you needing potentially to speak Spanish to live here? Would that be one that you might have heard, and are there any others?
Well, no doubt it's valuable to be a Spanish speaker. And I, like so many others, am just slowly starting to improve my Spanish speaking skills. And I think it's important. The reality is, though, business in Miami gets done in English just like it does in most other places around the world, quite frankly. And so it's critically important that we understand how to do business in English. And most of the work that we do is focused external, at least from a business attraction standpoint, it's external. And so, you know, being able to do that kind of outreach is pretty critical. So it's a bit of a misperception that you must be a Spanish speaker, but it's certainly an advantage if you are. Frankly, I think the biggest misperception with respect to this industry sector, the whole banking and financial services, is that there's not much here. And in fact, we have thousands of companies, more than 5,000 that are located here. We have tens of thousands of workers within the sector. So we have a very robust talent pipeline that's here. And I think that's one of the misperceptions is it's just fun and fun. As Henrik said, you know, you're coming to enjoy palm trees and sunshine, but there's not a lot of business happening. And certainly hospitality and tourism has been a major driver for the state of Florida and for Miami-Dade. And certainly going to South Beach or wherever to have fun, Wynwood, is definitely an option. But I think those of us who have now peeled it back a little bit, we understand that serious business is going on here. Serious opportunities to grow a company, serious opportunities to start a technology-based startup company. It's happening here, and it's an ideal time for all of your listeners to take advantage of all that Miami has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So, Joe, what are some of the misperceptions you might have heard?
You know, a lot of it we've touched on, but in short, I think that a lot of folks have just kept the perception of Miami as the old Miami, that, you know, it might be a great place for vacation, but not to have a fund or an operating business until they actually take the time and inform themselves. And then they actually realize, oh my God, some of my peers have already made the move. And Miami may also be a great headquarter location to generate more revenue and drive shareholder value. So, you know, I think that what we're doing, I mean, listen, my employer is a prime example. We're a global law firm with over 1,700 lawyers and 30 offices throughout Europe and all over the globe in Middle East, Asia. But we came to Miami in 2017. Precisely, the firm saw fortunately the firm leadership saw, hey, there's something going on in Florida. There's something going on in South Florida. And so we were, I was happy to join the firm when they got to Florida. But they, I know the inside story, and our managing partner moved from New York. He was a former New Yorker himself. So, but for the growth and the opportunities and incentives that Miami and Florida overall provides for businesses, Reed Smith wouldn't be here either. So everyone's got to, yeah.
Well, I'm looking for, first of all, whoever picked your office deserves an award, because I've got the pleasure of being on your balcony there. You guys hosted an event. I don't know if she's listening. One of the HFA's regional directors, Amy Lawrence, put it together with you. But remember our Art Week event? That was just 2 years ago. And, you had a spectacular view. And obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. So whoever scoped that out for Reed Smith deserves an award. Danet, are there any misperceptions that people that are contacting you and Blanco Commercial Real Estate, are they going in with any misperceptions about South Florida that you have had to dispel?
Right now, I haven't had to deal with any misperceptions. I will say that several years ago, the misperception was talent, and that we didn't have the talent here. And so there were companies that always thought about relocating to Miami, but the employees decided, you know what, I don't want to go, to Miami, because if I go to Miami and I don't like the company that I'm with, where am I going to go? And so that was a big misperception that we've been having to deal with for the last few years up until now. I mean, now the floodgates have opened, and you see that Bravo wants to, lease probably about 40,000 square feet here. Citadel is looking for 80,000 square feet. Microsoft, is also looking for a substantial amount of space here. And all of these, and of course, Blackstone moving here as well. And all of these companies have been reported on, but there are many, many more that have not been in the newspapers yet. And announcements are soon to come. And so I think that, with the activity that we're seeing now, we no longer have that misperception. I think what's happening is that the housing market there's like a lack of housing, but that's a good problem to have, and that's just going to create more construction and more housing. But COVID really accelerated that, because I have spoken to several hedge fund managers looking for office space, and a lot of their big producers during COVID, when they were living in New York, they moved down to Miami. They were either renting or they bought a house last year. And so when they found out that their company was looking at relocating to South Florida, a lot of them said, well, you have to open in Miami. You have to open it. I'm here. I'm in Coral Gables. I'm on the beach. And so that's also helped generate all of the interest in the South Florida market. So right now it was talent, but I don't think that's an issue anymore.
All right, so I want to wrap it up with my misperception that I hear from people, and I'd love for you all to comment, and then we will wrap up the webinar. People have often said to me that we don't have culture, that we don't have museums, that we don't have plays, that we don't have all of that. Mike, I believe I saw you at one of those museums last time I saw you in person. I think I was actually wearing a tux. Could you comment a little bit about some of the culture in South Florida, Mike?
Yeah, the options for arts and culture and recreation is really on par with any other major metro. In fact, I'd say superior to virtually every major metro that I've had a chance to visit. Under normal circumstances, there's an opportunity to wear a tuxedo almost every week if one chooses to participate in all the various black tie events that happen here. I had the opportunity to see Hamilton, and I'm not a big theater person. And my wife insisted, and then she had to travel and couldn't go. So my son and I ended up going to Hamilton to avoid wasting the tickets. And I got to tell you, we both just absolutely loved it. And so we ended up going a second time, and we had tickets for a third time. And unfortunately, COVID shut it down. But that's just one of the many options that's available. So it's big time sports. We've got every major sports franchise within 15, 20 minutes here, so you can get all the sports you want. We've got ballet, we've got theater, you've got everything. And there's really, you absolutely do. You have the PAM. So the arts, culture, and recreational opportunities really are bar none. And one of only 3 locations in the world that hosts one of the largest art festivals you're going to find any place with Art Basel.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to extend a very special thank you to each of you for taking the time virtually to do this. We are going to do this in person. Mark my words, we're going to do it as soon as we possibly can. And apparently Joe has offices in every part of the planet, so who knows where we'll do it. But maybe Joe will host us again. I want to give a final shout out to our sponsor. Thank you so much, Reed Smith, for partnering with the Hedge Funds Association again. And thank you to all of the attendees. We hope you enjoyed it. We will circulate some follow-up information about this webinar, about our speakers, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.